No, and
especially with the wings that they run. The 360 wings are in my opinion, the 360 wings are the best wings that have ever been bolted on top of a sprint car. You're allowed
even better than Jacob Allen's. No, I'm just playing. Keep going.
Like I said, I'm going to skip right over that. Even you're allowed dish, you're allowed a parallelogram, you're allowed an 8-degree right panel. Like those were the best wings. Like, and people can argue, and they probably will. 2007, 2008, back in those days when the 410s were allowed that type of stuff, those were awesome wings. I mean, and interesting thing here, kind of scooting ahead forward, but dirty air. Dirty air in a 410 was always there. Whenever I learned to drive a 410 sprint car, there was dirty air. One night I crashed at Baps because of dirty air. I went down the backstretch right behind the guy. We got to the corner. He turned. I couldn't. I drove into the fence. So dirty air was there, but it wasn't nearly as bad. And that was with the dished wing. The parallel. You could run the parallelogram if you wanted. You could run the 8-degree right panel. It hooked the cars up, and it made them. It decreased the dirty air, and I just feel it was the dish that did that. The dish decreased the dirty air, so you could go down the backstretch at the Grove. You could be a car length behind the guy as long as you had your car half out and you had a little bit of air on your nose wing. You could enter right on his left rear corner. You didn't have to bonsai the guy. You could enter below him. You could drive around the corner on the bottom, and if you were good enough on the bottom, you could pass him and drive off the corner.
And are you saying that's because the dish of the wing allowed you to grab something?
I agree. Yeah, that's what I think. I feel like a dish wing.
The idea behind the flat wing is to get the air across and back to the guy. It's supposed to make it better, right? Kind of idea. That's.
I guess. I honestly don't know. One of my very very good friends is really into fluid dynamics, and they did fluid dynamics on a model of a flat wing versus a model of a dish wing. And with a dish wing, the air came across the top wing in the dish. Whenever it comes off the top wing, it curls down around behind the car.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It curls, yeah.
And that creates your downforce for the guy behind you because there's a little bit of air. With a flat wing and the wicker bill, even flat wing without a wicker bill, the air goes across the top of the wing, and it just kind of disappears. Like it makes this huge pocket, and the guy behind you, he can't race in that pocket because he can't steer his car. So. Whenever I watch a race, now again, this is all my opinions, my theories. There's some World of Outlaw guy will probably get on there and tell me I'm full of shit, but that's okay. What I felt, so I raced a dished wing, parallelogram, 8-degree right board, great wing, very little dirty air. I got back in a 410 in 2015 at Port Royal for Will Rose. He was hurt. He had a back injury. I got in his 410 car, and the very first hot lap session, I went out, come off turn 2 at Port, started down the backstretch. I was 4 car lengths behind the guy in front of me, and it was like following a tractor trailer down the highway, 80 mile per hour in a freaking Yugo. I mean, it was all over the place. It was buffering. Like the car just felt like I was floating. Like he couldn't even steer the damn thing. And I come in, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And well, that's dirty air. I'm like, that's terrible.
And you're saying it's worse today. That was 2014.
Yeah, it was 2015. Yeah, I don't know if it's worse today or not. I haven't sat in a 410 since 2015. But, watching the racing, to me, you see a heat race go green, unless you're at a bull ring. But
right.
anywhere that has any type of wing speed, you go green in a heat race, and you see guys single file out, and you see guys racing 4, 5, 6 car lengths behind each other. I mean, right. You could go to Williams Grove on a Friday night and stand at the bridge, and you could almost count the third lap of a heat race, the leader goes by, 1,000, 2, 1,000, second guy, 1,000, 2, 1,000, third guy. And I really feel like that's because they can't get any
separation.
The dirty air separation. Right. That's exactly right. So, again, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but that was the biggest difference. That's what I feel the biggest difference is with the top wings. And why they were changed in the first place, I don't know. I I have no clue. Not to say it was right or wrong. I just don't know. And now to go back, I mean, it would cost a lot of money. My opinion, again, the only way to do it properly, if you wanted to go back, was to basically go back and use a rule similar to what they have in Australia. They race with both in Australia. You have some guys on dish, you have some guys with a flat, and if you want to transition back into the dish, you can, but there has to be a transition period. You can't expect guys to go out and spend, $15,000 on new top wings to go race whenever they have $15,000 worth of, flat top wings sitting in their shop that are basically going to be scrap metal.
Well, don't the flat wings out there, don't they get like a 3-inch wicker on there or something too, though, to compensate with the dishes?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. And again, I don't know. I'm not fully up on Australia rules, but again, you can watch the race, you can see the highlights.
I mean,
yeah, they're running them together, and there is a market out there for the flat wings. 305 guys, they can run both. So there's plenty of 305s out there that would love to have a good used wing at half price, that they could bolt on their car. But still, there would have to be a transition period. But if that's what I feel would make it better. Now, again, I could be totally wrong. I could be a bajillion % wrong. But in my brain, that's what would make it. That's what would make it better. Every single interview you hear, no matter when, no matter what, dirty air, clean air, clean air. It's all you hear. I mean, and that's shitty. I mean, they should be talking about the racing, not getting
right.
somebody's dirty air or not, the guy started on the pole had clean air. Like, that's not racing, but that's unfortunately what we have to work with. So,
yeah.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, you get on a half mile and you get to, or like you said, any wing speed racetrack in national sprint car racing. I mean, you get a caution with 5 to go and it's over because you know that the leader's not going to catch lap traffic and kill his clean air, and it's almost impossible to pass a guy for the lead without that assistance.
Right, and almost every race you watch, and there's some great racing. Almost every race you watch, if it is a great finish, it's because they're in lap traffic. And,
right.
The leader, the guy with the clean air, gets in traffic, and all of a sudden he gets
equalizes.
stuck.
Yeah.
And it equalizes them, and here comes the guy in second, and he's going to go where the leader's not, and then all of a sudden you have a race. And they're both racing in dirty air, but that's what creates the good finishes. You don't ever see a good finish without lap traffic.
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole nother subject.
Well, I mean, what do you think of Lasowski's idea about moving the front wing up a few inches, and that would help?
I think it's a great idea. The last Sprint Car Council meeting that I was a part of was at PRI, not this past year, but the year before, and that was brought up. And I feel like, Danny's a smart guy. Obviously, he's been around a long time. He's very accomplished. Has a very good understanding of these race cars, and that's the type of guy that should be listened to at least. His ideas should be considered. And there was discussion of moving the nose wings forward. It just never came to fruition. So, I think there's a couple things you could do to help. Moving the nose wing forward, yeah, that's easy. I mean, that's a set of front posts. It's going to cost nothing to move the nose wing even an inch. I think if you're going to move the nose wing forward, any amount you can move it forward helps. You move the nose wing forward an inch, it's going to help.